Hello, everybody, and welcome to episode 23 of The Agency Way, a weekly Blab series focused on helping marketers learn from subject matter experts within a marketing agency and beyond. Today, we are learning from a subject matter expert inside of a marketing agency, and that is Max Morganfield. Max is a Room 214 account supervisor, has worked on a variety of brands over the years, including Evil, Smart Balance, Haribo, Marantha Nut, Butters, West Soy, Terra Chips, Garden of Eden, Sensible Portions. As you can tell, there's a theme here. Lots of food. So that's all good. Anyway, Max, stoked to have you on the show. Welcome, man.
Yeah, thanks for having me. It's definitely been a lot of food. We used to call it Max's Snackses when I handled the Chips Snacks account. So I'm hoping to bring that back over here as well.
Max's Snackses. All right,
yeah.
Cool. Well, today's topic is Tumblr. And you know what, man? I'm just going to admit to you, I do not know a lot about Tumblr. Let's see. What I do know quickly is Yahoo owns it. Over 400 million users, from what I've heard. They were growing at a rate of like 900%, like back in 2011, something ridiculous like that. I know the beginning of last year, they were growing at an annual rate of 74%. So, I mean, you know, it's a platform we should certainly be paying attention to as marketers. And I'm excited to have you on the show today because you can hopefully illuminate some insights for us. Yeah, man, where to get started? Specifically, what the hell is, why do I want to be on Tumblr?
Yeah, no, great question. I'm going to start off probably with a little bit of an overview of how I view the platform itself. Like you said, or to your point, there's really not that many marketers on it. It's grown in the last couple of years, but the platform itself has been around for over 8 years. So it's kind of interesting to see that they're just now kind of really getting into their stride in the last couple of years with brands. So essentially, I view Tumblr as a social content blog platform. So breaking that down, it's social in the sense that it has these amazing communities based around certain interests and issues, from anything Disney movies to, you know, a very specific community evolving around a diet. So there's, like you said, over 400 million. I think in December it was over 550 million, December 2015. So that social aspect of it, I think, is one big part that sets it apart from most blog platforms in general. Obviously, we integrate all our Facebook and Pinterest and Instagram with whatever we have going on, but this in itself is a social platform. Second being content. Tumblr has its own really crazy content language. Number one being the GIF. The animated GIF is huge on Tumblr. It's something that every brand that's gotten onto the platform has had to master exactly how to really make, you know, that 10 frame or shorter GIF content for their audience. And then, of course, the blog aspect being it's not a Facebook page or an Instagram where it's their platform, their rules. You just put your profile picture in there and then fill it with content. You can have just a white page with the name in the most boring font ever on your Tumblr, or you can have essentially just as media-rich content as, you know, backgrounds and everything moving as if it were a microsite. So all of that kind of coming together makes it a pretty unique platform in terms of look and feel and who you're reaching and how you're talking to.
Yeah, is it fair to say that the platform is primarily populated by millennials?
Right. Absolutely. Yeah. I think the number is let's see, I think as of 2015, 69% of those 550 million were aged 25 to 34. So
right,
yeah,
and
definitely.
And I would say, just, you know, based on on everything I've seen on Tumblr, there's definitely there's a lot of humor. There's snark.
Yeah, absolutely. A lot of jokes, a lot of people commenting, and there's so many different ways to do that. But like I said, the GIF is a really fun way for people to kind of have that fun on the platform.
So as a company, as a brand, if I'm looking at Tumblr, you know, criteria wise, trying to figure out, does it make sense for me to do something on this platform? What do you suggest?
I think what you need to do is take a look at what your needs are and what you're trying to accomplish in your goals. So there's a few ways brands interact on Tumblr. For one, Westsoy, one of my previous brands, they ditched their website. They don't have e-commerce because it's tofu and seitan and things that need to be refrigerated. So it's just generally difficult to ship via online purchase. So they said, you know what, let's go to a cheaper platform. Let's connect with the people we're trying to connect with via our website instead of just driving people from our social sites to the website to accomplish what? So we set up that Westsoy Tofu Tumblr, identified the millennial, male and female, as that target audience, specifically a lot of college students, and curated our content that way. So they saved a ton of money on building out a rich experience website. They were able to connect with fans and create new fans and followers and brand awareness just through their actual website, which is something you don't normally see. Usually you're spending money to push people somewhere from somewhere. So this was us kind of just saying, no, let's just do it all right here within that platform. So there's that instance. And I think I've seen brands doing that for the long run, like Westsoy, or just for campaigns on a campaign by campaign basis and using it as a content collector and kind of just tapping into that audience that's there already on Tumblr. There's also being introduced as of like 2015, I think, was sponsored posts, just like Facebook, Instagram is doing now. They're introducing that paid ad spend. So it's kind of funny. They do it in a variety of ways, and they're all a little different than the standard. So they have sponsored posts, which is exactly what it sounds like. It's going to show up in news feeds of people that may not follow you, hopefully to your fans who maybe didn't see it. There's a sponsored day, which is where you get banner ads on Explorer pages, which is similar to the Instagram Explorer page and the Facebook newsfeed. So essentially you are propped there for a day, hitting certain consumers or certain fans on the platform. And then you also have posts that are going to go out throughout that one day. So I'm not sure how many days you can stretch that out or the cost behind that, but it's an interesting kind of way to get people, maybe if you're starting out with a new Tumblr, get people to check it out and click through.
Cool. Yeah, and I would say just also for like as a good primer, good intro, and Max, you might be familiar with this already, but Kissmetrics, and I got to believe this is a bit aged even, so maybe there's something a little more recent out there that I'm unaware of, but there is a marketer's guide to Tumblr that Kissmetrics put out a while back, and so it's possible. I'll just enter the link there. It's possible that could be a good resource, at least to get acclimated with what is this microblogging platform and why.
Yeah, absolutely. And, it's funny because there's not much of that out there. I mean, there's certainly a lot of articles that are trying to decode what Tumblr is, but the fact of the matter is it's got a smaller audience than Facebook and Instagram. It's growing at a slower rate, and it's really only been accessible to marketers for a few years. When you take into account that platforms like Snapchat have been around for a much shorter period of time and are already dove right into that branded content, it's just interesting to see that they're definitely taking a different approach to that.
Yeah, yeah. And I mean, I feel like I hear Tumblr is really more compared to WordPress as a blogging platform than it is to, you know, maybe just any other social network. But the reality is it is a social network.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's why I feel a little hesitant to compare it as a blog. I mean, it is a blog, but you interact with it as you would any other social platform. You have people, you really enjoy their content, or you have conversations with them over and over again, whether it's through direct messaging, which they recently introduced, or just through reblogging their content. So yeah, it's definitely interesting. And I think there's a variety of reasons for that. I think a big one is while I think it's 78% of users in 2015 did say they access via mobile. But that's 78% compared to whatever that percentage is on Facebook. And then considering that Facebook and Instagram and Snapchat together are almost exclusively mobile for a large set of their audience, there's a big disconnect in that. So Tumblr's trying to close that gap. They just introduced their new Giphy app that allows, or GIF app, not Giphy, but it allows you to create GIFs on your phone and even do things like you can on Snapchat, like drawing and adding captions and things like that. So that's a new feature. That's something they're trying to roll out. And they also just hired, what's her name? Tatiana Simonia, and she's coming from Nielsen, and prior to Nielsen, Twitter. And with Twitter, she was working on live event coverage. So she was working with marketers to get the platform, for instance, like the VMAs and things like that. So she's now at Tumblr, which is interesting, and it tells me that they're really trying to bulk up that mobile situation and make sure that they're able to join in conversations that they're currently being excluded
Yeah, that
from.
is interesting. Definitely. I mean, I feel like Tumblr, it's kind of enjoyed this uniqueness about it. Even gentleman named Hubert Saltall, he talks about what he refers to as, being able to actually have a strict output strategy on platforms like Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter, but really not being able to do this on Tumblr. So his point is, the biggest mistake, the number one crime, as he puts it, is using the platform in a selfish way by just posting stuff, and he's like,
Absolutely.
The main thing is this idea of reblogging. And that's really the main point of difference with Tumblr. And so, it's one thing to say in social media and in content marketing in general, you have to be able to think of how are you adding value. It's not about you and your brand. It's about everybody else out there. We know as practitioners, we say that, we preach it. And then we watch a lot of our clients and other brands all day long, just putting stuff out there about themselves. And, Southall says you can't do that in Tumblr. It's just not going to work.
Absolutely, and I'm glad you mentioned that, because that plays into a huge part of the community aspect of it. In fact, in the analytics platform, this great view you have is a reblog tree. And essentially it shows you the path line by line of where your content's going and to what users. So not only can you then later interact with those users, you're just able to see who's really checking my content out. But then from the other perspective, you start to share their content because they're interested in your content. So you obviously have a commonality there, and you're seeing that community that's building around that content is all interacting together. So you can really start building that conversation just by a simple reblog, just clicking reblog and maybe adding some of your own text, but really like promoting other people's work. And that's actually a big reason why I really like the creators program that Tumblr created. So when they decided to hit brands, and they're like, all right, this is no longer just an artist's kind of portfolio page or just someone curating things they really like and enjoy. we want to get brands on here, they took what they call creators on the platform that have some of the most traction in terms of content, and essentially started selling them and their services to brands, but obviously in a really effective way. So it's kind of like an influencer situation, except it's much more about creation than it is about sponsorship. So, for instance, we worked with Matthias Brown. There's a site called Trace Loops, which is really cool. I think I can try and drop in a link in a second here, but it's essentially
Max, repeat that again, because I think your voice cut out just a little bit when you said who it was.
Matthias Brown, and his Tumblr is Trace Loops. He has a bunch of different Tumblrs. He's one of the original creators. He's worked with brands like Converse, which is one of my favorite. But they're really, it hits the nail on the head in the term. It's creating content. It's not making an ad or making something that's just my brand, you know. So for Converse, he took a Converse and drew across it someone doing a trick on a skateboard, and the shoe moves around each frame, so you're seeing this animation across the shoe. I'll try and drop in a link here in a second, but yeah, so I think that goes to that
the whole idea of creation too, and with that, you know, just keeping in mind the value of visual content in this platform, you're going to quickly be outcasted, or I guess just not paid attention to, if you try to use this platform in a way like a way to post news, let's say.
Absolutely. Well, something I was looking at last night when I was kind of catching up on everything that's going on right now with it is out of all the platforms has #1 brand sentiment. And I think it's for that reason. I think it's not throwing product pictures at you. It's not saying, look at this new product. It's taking something
understanding
that
you can certainly link things from within Tumblr to go to another platform. So like if there is some sort of news or longer story associated with that, don't try to get it all in Tumblr, but be aware that you can actually, you know, link to the proper place for that. Yeah. Cool. Well, I think another thing that we see in Tumblr, and I kind of speak on behalf of, how should I say this, uneducated social media managers, and that's like using hashtags in a way that just makes you want to kind of kill them. Yeah, it's like, I'm going to use 15 to 20 hashtags and just, you know, spam the hell out of the Tumblr universe because I'm going to cover it all this way, is I think what we see is an example of a mistake.
Yeah.
And, you know, the recommendation I've seen anyway, and this is Tim Lavell's recommendation, is try to get it more down to 4 or 5 hashtags per post rather than 15 to 20. So don't know if you have any points of view on that or not.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, yeah, I think there's nothing wrong with having something applicable to whatever content you have out there as a hashtag, or even if it's a branded hashtag that you use to track things. I do agree that, yeah, there's no reason to have a paragraph of hashtags below whatever content you're doing. It can work that way, but I think most people don't enjoy that. With Tumblr, it's kind of interesting. You do have tags and things like that, but I think a lot of it comes from interacting with the community itself by reblogging and liking things and getting them involved in the conversation that way, which is a little more meaningful, I think, than just saying, man, I sure hope someone searches tofu today. You're really trying to actually just get out there and have a conversation.
I mean, as we start running towards the end of our time here, is there anything in particular you want to touch on when it comes to Tumblr, whether it's brands that have succeeded, whether it's, just getting started insights, or even just key takeaways from people that maybe are already using the platform? Anything comes to mind?
Yeah, absolutely. I'd say my number one takeaway is, if you're looking to do things like run ads and gain followers and just kind of play the numbers game, I think the Facebooks and the Instagrams are where that belongs. I think Tumblr is really for brands that want to either highlight something about themselves that radiates with that audience, which would be millennials, a lot of people passionate about certain subjects that may be on there, and using that as a way to kind of have it as what you would do with a campaign or a microsite. So Converse kind of started out there with this music channel where they just kind of posted collaborations, really cool short videos with artists that were making music. Some famous, some not, which was the cool part. And that's turned into working with visual artists like Matthias that I mentioned from Trace Loops, and actually calling for people to create content, not for prizes, just because the love of creation. So I think when you look at it as like really building that meaningful communication with people, that's where you want to have it. I think anytime you're looking to build a microsite, think twice, whether it's for a campaign or overall just somewhere to drive people. I think if millennials are your target, this is a really great way to get everything that would function within a microsite.
And I would say that earlier you did touch on metrics, and when we think of metrics, we think of return on investment and associated goals with the platform. I'm curious about what your thoughts are when it comes to that, and what's available from a metrics perspective too.
Yeah, absolutely. There's actually some really cool case studies that Tumblr has done with brands, one of which was a retargeting campaign. So they went through, I believe it was a clothing site. They went through and took inventory of everything on the site. Then working with a third party, we're able to, I think it was Correlate actually, we're able to find that content online and then retarget. And it had some sort of, I want to say upwards of 40% boost in sales from online. So I think it depends really on how you want to use it. I think you can use it as a content area and a platform for communication. I think you can use it for sales if that's what you want to do. And I think it will function equally as well, if not better, in that aspect than a microsite or even Facebook. Facebook has a lot of metrics, and obviously there's the shop now, things like that. But at the end of the day, you're getting a lot of impressions and some ad recall numbers, and it's really nice to have those meaningful kind of case studies.
Were you able to get that link in? Did you post the link?
Yeah, let me try. I might cut off real quick, but so here is the Converse Tumblr. I'm just going to do my top three real quick. Denny's is worth checking out because I think they do it the best out of anyone in terms of what we're talking about. Yeah, just the content is so native to Tumblr, it's kind of insane. It's almost as if there's like a 19-year-old college kid that's just been running.
We often talk about
really cool content.
The perceptions of a brand versus the desired perceptions. When you look at what's going on at Denny's, Tumblr, do you think that you think Denny's, the brand, is comfortable with what's going on and basically it's just like, hey, let this live? Or do you think sometimes maybe they're like, oh, geez, oh, crap,
I think Denny's is in the same boat as Taco Bell. I think they know in reality who their consumer is, and they're reaching that consumer instead of trying to say, no, I mean, that's great, but we want someone else to be eating here. Like, we want to get more people that are different to eat here. But in reality, I mean, Denny's, it's a late night, 24-hour diner, and you're going to get some interesting characters that are having late night breakfast, and they play off of that.
Yeah.
I know it's a total family restaurant. But yeah, no, I think that's important. I think Tumblr is a place for people that know who their audience is and embrace it versus
and to
trying
Erica's point too, Denny's comes up a lot on
audience.
social media. I think we had just, I think we were interviewing Erica Griffith, and she was talking about Denny's as one of her favorite social content companies in terms of what they're producing. Yeah, so interesting, huh? Very cool.
Great.
Well, good. I mean, I'm excited about where the metrics are going. And actually, I should rephrase that. I'm excited about where the metrics are going with respect to the potential new things and whether it's advertising or whatever they're doing with that person who came from where'd you say she came from? Yeah, you said.
Are you talking about the creators?
That's Tatiana.
Sorry.
That's it.
Yeah, it's Tatiana.
Right. Okay,
Simonian.
So when I think about somebody like that, my first impression is, all right, she's been brought in to now make some money. And so there are a lot of options on how to do that these days when you're looking across the existing social media platforms. How Tumblr is able to do it without screwing up the platform is going to be the challenge, I think.
Yeah, absolutely. It's going to be interesting to see where they go from here. But I think so far, even with acquisition under Yahoo, the platforms remain pretty true to its roots.
Yeah,
and
I appreciate the conversation today. I know I'm definitely going to check out the links that you provided. And of course, I always think, we're producing lots of visual content. How are we using Tumblr? And then of course, if I had that conversation with our creative group, they'd be like, dude, you just talked to us about how we're going to use Snapchat. Come on, give us a break. We can't just sit around and produce fun content all day. Doesn't really make us any money. So.
No. Well, I think Tumblr will be fun,
right,
so
right
I'll be the one to have that conversation.
Thanks for joining today, everybody. Max, thanks you for joining as well. There will be, for those of you that have just signed on, thank you. Dr. Corey, Roxanne. I appreciate you guys taking a look. There will be a recorded version of this blab along with links. There it is, room214.com/blog. Usually we get it up in a day or two, and we can be pretty quick about that. So we will. Anything else you want to add, Max, before we sign off?
No, but I'm going to go probably.
Giphy. I didn't know Giphy was a Tumblr product that we've been using inside of Slack. Wasn't even aware of that. So that's kind of cool. Anyway, all right, guys. Well, after I hit the stop recording button here, we will hang on for a couple more minutes if anybody has any questions. So feel free to do that. For those of you interested in joining us in another conversation about marketing, digital marketing and social media is our topic every Thursday at 11:30 a.m. Mountain Time. We fire up the Agency Way. If you're interested in being a guest on the show or have feedback about what you would like to hear about or learn about, definitely let us know. Our Twitter account is at the Agency Way. You can also reach me at Jason Cormier. Happy to get feedback, suggestions, etc. So thanks everybody for joining us. We'll catch you next time.
Thanks.